because I haven't actually read this book before, but I have seen the TV show because they turned it into a TV show, and I have to say that it is one of my favorite TV shows ever. Um, just like it just like changed my life, and I know that probably sounds like too much, but I went to film school, and so like trust me when I tell you that this is a show that just like changed me and just had a big impact on me, and I just really love it. Um, but yeah, I haven't read the book, and it's called Normal People by Sally Rooney. Um, and yeah, like I said, I love the show. I don't know how different the book is to the show, but I heard a lot of people say that it was just like a really good adaptation. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how different it is, but or how similar it is. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought that we could start with that because I really, really love this story. I just think it's really beautiful. Anyway, I thought that I would maybe read like one or two chapters to you guys because chapters are not too long in this one. So, yeah, if you've seen the show, you probably know what the story's about. Um, or maybe you have like read the book already and you know what it's gonna be about. But if you haven't, then yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. I'm really excited. This is what it looks like. So okay, I'm gonna start reading now. January 2011. Marianne answers the door when Connell rings the bell. She's still wearing her school uniform, but she's taking off the sweater, so it's just a blouse and skirt, and she has no shoes on, only tights. Oh, hey, he says. Come on in. She turns and walks down the hall. He follows her, closing the door behind him. Down a few steps in the kitchen, his mother, Lorraine, is pulling off a pair of rubber gloves. Marianne hops into the countertop and picks up an open jar of chocolate spread in which she has left a teaspoon. Marianne was telling me you got your mock results today, Lorian says. We got English back, he says. They come back separately. Do you want the head on? Lorraine pulls the rubber gloves up neatly and replaces them below the sink. Then she starts unclipping her hair. To Connell, this seems like something she could accomplish in the car. And her hair, you did very well, she says. You was top of the class, says Marianne. Right, Connell says. Marianne did pretty good too. Can we go? Lorraine pauses in the untying of her apron. I didn't realize we were in a rush, she says. He puts his hand in his pockets and suppresses an irritable sigh, but suppresses it with an audible intake of breath so that it still sounds like a sigh. I just have to pop up and take a load out of the dryer, says Lorraine, and then we'll be off, okay? He says nothing, merely hanging his head while Lorraine leaves the room. Do you want some of this? Marianne says. She's holding out the jar of chocolate spread. He presses his hands down slightly further into his pockets, as if trying to store his entire body in his pockets all at once. No thanks, he says. Did you get your French results today? Yesterday. He puts his back against the fridge and watches her lick the spoon. In school, he and Marianne affect not to know each other. People know that Marianne lives in the white mansion with the driveway and the Connell's mother is a cleaner, but no one knows of the special relationship between these facts. I got an She exercises an open contempt for people in school. She has no friends and spends her lunch times alone reading novels. A lot of people really hate her. Her father died when she was 13, and Colonel has heard she has a mental illness now or something. It's true she is the smartest person in school. He dreads being left alone with her like this, but he also finds himself fantasizing about things he could say to impress her. You're not top of the class in English, he points out. She licks her teeth, unconcerned. Maybe you should give me grinds, Colonel, she says. He feels his ears get hot. She's probably just being glib and not suggestive, but if she's being suggestive, it's only to degrade him by association, since she is considered an object of disgust. I have to readjust for a second there. She wears ugly, thick-soled flat shoes and doesn't put makeup on her face. People have said she doesn't shave her legs or anything. Connell once heard that she spilled chocolate ice cream on herself in the school uniform, and she went to the girls' bathroom and took her blouse off to wash it in the sink. That's a popular story about her. Everyone has heard it. If she wanted, she could make a big show of saying hello to Connell in school. See you this afternoon, she could say, in front of everyone. Undoubtedly, it would put him in an awkward position, which is the kind of thing she usually seems to enjoy. But she has never done it. What were you talking to Miss Neary about today, says Marianne. Oh, nothing. I don't know. Exams. Marianne twists the spoon around inside the jar. Does she fancy you or something? Marianne says. Connell watched her moving the spoon. His ears still feel very hot. Why do you say that? He says. God, you're not having an affair with her, are you? Obviously not. Do you think it's funny joking about that? Sorry, says Marianne. She has a focused expression, like she's looking through his eyes into the back of his head. You're right, it's not funny, she says. I'm sorry. He nods, looks around the room for a bit, takes the toe of his shoe into a groove between the tiles. Sometimes I feel like she does act kind of weird around me, he says, but I wouldn't say that to people or anything. Even in class, I think she's very flirtatious towards you. Do you really think that? Marianne nods. He rubs at his neck. Miss Neary teaches economics. His supposed feelings for her are wildly discussed in school. Some people are even saying that he tried to add her on Facebook, which he didn't and would never do. Actually, he doesn't do or say anything to her. He just sits there quietly while she does and says things to him. She keeps him back after class sometimes to talk about his life direction, and once she actually touched the knot of his school tie. He can't tell people about the way she acts because they'll think he's trying to brag about it. In class, he feels too embarrassed and annoyed to concentrate on the lesson. He just sits there, staring at the textbook until the paragraphs start to blur. People are always going on at me that I fancy her or whatever, he says, but I actually don't. At all. I mean, you don't think I'm playing into it when she acts like that, do you? Not that I've seen. He wipes his palms down on his school shirts unthinkingly. Everyone is so convinced of his attraction to Miss Neary that sometimes he starts to doubt his own instincts about it. What if, at some level above or below his own perception, he does actually desire her? He doesn't even really know what desire is supposed to feel like. Anytime he has had sex in real life, he has found it so stressful Is that just the way he is? Is the nausea he feels when Miss Neary leans over his desk, actually his way of experiencing a sexual thrill? How would he know? I could go to Mr. Lyons for you if you want, says Marianne. I won't say you told me anything, I'll just say I noticed it myself. Jesus, no, definitely not. Don't say anything about it to anyone, okay? Okay, alright. He looks at her to confirm she's being serious and then nods. It's not your fault she acts like that with you, says Marianne. You're not doing anything wrong. Quietly, he says, why does everyone else think I fancy her then? Maybe because you blush a lot when she talks to you. But you know you blush at everything. You just have that complexion. He gives a short, unhappy laugh. Thanks, he says. Well, you do. Yeah, I'm aware. You're blushing now, actually, says Marianne. He closes his eyes, pushes his tongue against the roof of his mouth. He can hear Marianne laughing. They're just like flirting with each other. I'm just kidding. Um, Why do you have to be so harsh on people? He says. I'm not being harsh. I don't care if you're blushing. I won't tell anyone. Just because you won't tell people doesn't mean you can say whatever you want. Okay, she says. Sorry. He turns and looks out the window at the garden. Really, the garden is more like grounds. It includes a tennis court and a large stone statue in the shape of a woman. He looks out at the grounds and moves his face close to the cool breath of the glass. When people tell that story about Marianne washing her blouse in the sink, they act like it's just funny. But Connell thinks the real purpose of the story is something else. Marianne has never been with anyone in school. No one has ever seen her undress. No one even knows if she likes boys or girls. She won't tell anyone. People resent that about her, and Connell thinks that's why they tell the story, as a way of gawking at something they're not allowed to see. I don't want to get into a fight with you, she says. We're not fighting. I know you probably hate me, but you're the only person who actually talks to me. I never said I hated you, he says. That gets her attention, and she looks up, confused. He continues looking away from her, but in the corner of his eye, he still sees her watching. When he talks to Marianne, he has a sense of total privacy between them. He could tell her anything about himself, even weird things, and she would never repeat them. He knows that. Being alone with her, it's like opening a door away from normal life and then closing it behind him. He's not frightened of her. Actually, she's a pretty relaxed person, but he fears being around her because of the confusing way he finds himself behaving, the things he says that he would never ordinarily say. A few weeks ago, when he was waiting for Lorraine in the hall, Marianne came downstairs in a bathrobe. It was just a plain white bathrobe tied in the normal way. Her hair was wet, and her skin had that glistening look, like she had just been applying face cream. When she saw Connell, She hesitated on the stairs and said, I didn't know you were here. Sorry. Maybe she seemed flustered, but not really badly or anything. Then she went back up to her room. After she left, he stood there in the hall, waiting. He knew she was probably getting dressed in her room, and whatever clothes she was wearing when she came back down would be the clothes she had chosen to put on after she saw him in the hall. Anyway, Lorraine was ready to go before Marianne reappeared, so he never did get to see what clothes she had put on. It wasn't like he deeply cared to know. He certainly didn't tell anyone in school about it, that he had seen her in a bathroom, or that she looked flustered. It wasn't anyone's business to know. Well, I like you, Lorraine says. Just for a few seconds he says nothing, and then most physical pressure on his face and body. Then Lorraine comes back into the kitchen, tying her scarf around her neck. She does a little knock on the door, even though it's already open. Good to go, she says. Yeah, says Connell. Thanks for everything, Lorraine, says Marianne. See you next week. Connell is already heading out the kitchen door when his mother says, "You can say goodbye, can't you?" He turns to look over his shoulder but finds he cannot actually look Marianne in the eye. So he addresses himself to the floor instead. "Right. Bye," he says. He doesn't wait to hear her reply. In the car, his mother puts on her seat belt and shakes her head. "You could be a bit nicer to her," she says. She doesn't exactly have an easy time of it in school. He puts the keys in the ignition, glances in the rear view. "I'm nice to her," he says. "She's actually a very sensitive person," says Lorraine. "Can we talk about something else?" Lorraine makes a face. He stares out the windshield and pretends not to see. Oh wow. Okay, so it is a little bit different because this conversation, or like part of this conversation, takes place at school. Because I remember when Marianne tells him that he's blushing. I know that takes place in the school hall and not in her house. So that is a little bit different. But okay. Okay, so chapter 2. 3 weeks later, February 2011. She sits at her dressing table looking at her face in the mirror. Her face lacks definition around the cheeks and jaw. It's a face like a piece of technology, and her 2 eyes are cursors blinking, or it's reminiscent of the moon reflected in something wobbly and oblique. It expresses everything all at once, which is the same as expressing nothing. To wear makeup for this occasion would be, she concludes, embarrassing. Without breaking eye contact with herself, she dips her finger in an open pot of clear lip balm and applies it. Downstairs, when she takes her coat off the hook, her brother Alan comes out from the living room. We don't like Alan. We don't like Alan, guys. Out. Where's out? She puts her arms through the sleeves of her coat and adjusts the collar. She's beginning to feel nervous now and hopes her silence is communicating insolence rather than uncertainty. "Just out for a walk," she says. Alan moves to stand in front of the door. "Well, I know you're not going out to meet friends," he says, "because you don't have any friends, do you?" "No, I don't." She smiles now, a placid smile, hoping that this gesture of submission will placate him and he'll move away from the door. Instead, he says, "What are you doing that for?" "What?" she says. "This weird smile you're doing." He mimics her face, contorted into an ugly grin, teeth bared. Through his grinning, the force and extremity of this impersonation makes him look angry. "Are you happy that you don't have friends?" he says. "No." Still smiling, he takes 2 small steps backward and then turns and walks towards the kitchen, where there's a patio door onto the garden. Alan walks after her. He grabs her by the upper arm and tugs her back from the door. She feels her jaw tighten. His fingers compress her arm through her bucket. "If you go crying to Mom about this," says Alan. "No," says Marianne. "No, he grabbed it. She takes her phone from a pocket and composes a text, repeatedly hitting the wrong key, deleting and retyping. Finally, she sends it. On my way. Before she puts the phone back, she receives a reply. Cool, see you soon. Wait, do I think I'm a little bit confused, but we'll just keep going. At the end of last term, the school soccer team reached the final of some competition, and everyone in the year had to take the last 3 classes off to go and watch them. Marianne had never seen them play before. She had no interest in sport and suffered anxiety related to physical education. And the bus on the way to the match, she just listened to her headphones. No one spoke to her. Out the window, black cattle, green meadows, white houses with brown roof tiles. The football team were all together at the top of the bus, drinking water and slapping each other on the shoulders to raise morale. Marianne had the sense that her real life was happening somewhere very far away, happening without her, and she didn't know if she would ever find out where it was and become part of it. She had that feeling in school often, but it wasn't accompanied by any specific images of what the real life might look or feel like. All she knew was that when it started, she wouldn't need to imagine it anymore. It stayed dry for the match. They had been brought there for the purpose of standing at the sidelines and cheering. Marianne was near the goal post with Karen and some of the other girls. Everyone other than Marianne seemed to know the school chants off by heart somehow, with lyrics she had never heard of before. By halftime, it was still nil all, and Miss Kinney handed around boxes of juice and energy bars. For the second half, the ends changed around, and the school forward were playing near where Marianne was standing. Cornell Waldron was the center forward. She could see him standing there in his football kit, the shiny white shorts, the school jersey with number 9 on the back. He had very good posture, more so than any of the other players. His figure was like a long, elegant line drawn with a brush. When the ball moved toward the end of the pitch, he tended to run around and maybe throw one of his hands in the air. And then he went back to standing still. It was pleasurable to watch him, and she didn't think he knew or cared where she was standing. she wasn't even allowed to move her eyes where she wanted. Even her eye movements fell under the jurisdiction of school rules. You're not learning if you're staring out the window, daydreaming, Miss Kerrigan said. Marianne, who had lost her temper by then, snapped back. Don't delude yourself. I have nothing to learn from you. Connell said recently that he remembered that instant, and that at the time he felt she was being harsh on Mr. Kerrigan, who was actually one of the more reasonable teachers. But I see what you're saying, Colonel added, about feeling a bit imprisoned in school. I do see that. He should have let you look out the window. I would agree there. You weren't doing any harm. After their conversation in the kitchen, when she told him she liked him, Connell started coming over to her house more often. He would arrive early to pick his mother up from work and hang around in the living room, not saying much, or standing by the fireplace with his hands in his pockets. Marianne never asked why he came over. They talked a little bit, or she talked and he nodded. He told her she would try reading the Communist Manifesto. He thought she would like it, and he offered to write down the title for her so she wouldn't forget. I know what the Communist Manifesto is called, she said. He shrugged. Okay. After a moment, he added, smiling, you're trying to act superior. Sorry guys, my camera died for just a second, but I am back. So I will continue reading. Okay. The secret weight inside her body, pleasurably pressing down on her pelvic bone when she moved. She didn't see him after school that day or the next. On Thursday afternoon, his mother was working again, and he arrived early to pick her up. Marianne had to answer the door because no one else was home. He had changed out of his school uniform. He was wearing black jeans and a sweatshirt. When she saw him, she had an instinct to run away and hide her face. Lorraine's in the kitchen, she said. Then she turned and went upstairs to her room and closed the door. She lay face down on the bed, breathing into the pillow. Who was this person? Colonel, anyway. She felt she knew him very intimately, but what reason did she have to feel that? Just because he had kissed her once, with no explanation, and then warned her not to tell anyone. After a minute or two, she heard a knock on her bedroom door, and she sat up. Come in, she said. He opened the door. He opened the door, giving her an inquiring look as if to see whether he was welcome. Entered the room and closed the door behind him. Are you pissed off with me? He said. No, why would I be? He shrugged. He wandered over to the bed and sat down. He was sitting cross-legged, holding her ankles. They sat there in silence for a few moments. Then he got onto the bed with her. He touched her leg and she lay back against the pillow. Boldly she asked if he was going to kiss her again. He said, what do you think? This struck her as a highly cryptic and sophisticated thing to say. Oh, this struck her as a highly cryptic and sophisticated thing to say. Anyway, he did start to kiss her. She told him that it was nice, and he just said nothing. She felt she would do anything to make him like her, to make him say out loud that you're such a strange person, he said. Now she's standing in his driveway, where his car is parked. He texted her the address. It's number 33, a tourist house with pebble dash walls, net curtains, a tiny concrete yard. She can see a light switch on in the upstairs window. It's hard to believe he really lives in there. A house she has never been inside or even seen before. She's wearing a black sweater, gray skirt, cheap black underwear. Her legs are shaved meticulously, her underarms are smooth and chalky with deodorant, and her nose is running a little. She rings the doorbell and hears his footsteps coming down the stairs. He opens the door. Before he lets her in, he looks over her shoulder to make sure that no one has seen her arrive. Wow. Okay, guys, so that was the first two chapters of Normal People. Obviously, I know what happens, but it's very interesting. The writing is very interesting compared to what this show looks like, but you still get kind of the same energy between um, Marianne and Connell, and you do get like a little bit of um, how they like mess with each other. Um, but yeah, it's kind of interesting. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was relaxing, and I hope you could understand what I was saying. I know that I definitely messed up a couple of times. I feel like I should have had better lighting, because it was honestly a little bit hard to read, and also my contacts were starting to dry a little bit, so that wasn't really helping either. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know what you like to see me do or try for future videos. And also, I noticed that my video, it's like a little bit like grainy or like noisy, and I don't know why it's doing that. I hope it wasn't too distracting or anything, but yeah, I'm really sorry. I will definitely have that fixed for next time. I guess maybe I just need